you hit on the very next question I was gonna ask y'all because you hit it right in the head. You said you got to communicate in order to establish a healthy relationship and make it work. So how important is communication? That's something that I have learned, especially over the past. Something I have focused on a lot over the past 3 years of becoming a better communicator, not just with women, but in life, period. Instead of thinking that I'm saying something for people to understand, trying to make sure I'm saying it in a way that they'll understand. So how do y'all think the importance of it is in that dynamic of a marriage or just a relationship that you feel like that you want to lead to marriage?
I got to jump in on this one because as a big one in this household for me, um, how important is communication? Paramount, paramount. Like it's the cornerstone of any relationship. And here's the thing, for us as men, it's not always verbal. I have learned to look at my wife and read the room. If that ain't something that's the truth of life, is learning to read the room with your wife in it. I tell you, it'll save your life because sometimes I'll do something, say something, whatever or is going on, and I'm not thinking anything of it, but it's
Yeah,
affecting her differently. And she's a woman, like you said, the woman's to hold you down. She doesn't want to disrupt the boat. She don't want to rock the boat. So she'll say, you know what, I'll rock with it. I'll go with whatever. But really, I don't like this. You know what I'm saying? But we as men have to pay attention to how they're communicating non-verbally, whether it's your body language, whether it's how receptive they are to this thing or whatever the case may be. Or in what I've also learned is, just for example, she says, Wendell, I have an appointment at 3. And I say, cool, that's fine. All right, you got an appointment at 3 on Monday, whatever time, place, whatever, right? And then I come back and I say, hey, there's this thing going on at 3 o'clock. You trying to be a part of that or whatever? And she's like, I told you I got something going on. It's treating whatever they have going on as it's important. Because if I told her that, she's like, okay, let me shift around, let me do this and that and whatever. Is
yeah,
treating their stuff with the same level of importance as they treat ours. So it communicating is not just verbal; it is all aspects of life, and it is the key, I believe, to any successful relationship. And when I get a successful relationship, I'll come back on this podcast and tell you how we learn to communicate off the bat. But it's paramount, brother. Like I can't put enough emphasis on the communication and comprehension, really listening, truly listening to what they have to say.
all right.
Yeah, just to add on to what he said too. Communication is definitely key, but I think more importantly too, it's the healthy communication that's the real driving point of the relationship. Because you could communicate all day. For me, in my situation, like I've been married 8 years, and I'd be the first to tell you I was a horrible communicator. Like that's still you know, uh, one of my weak points, or one of the things, shall I say, that I'm working on now to get better at. It's just gonna be a continuous thing because I'm just terrible at it. But even with getting better, the communication, okay, I will communicate, but then I had to learn that, okay, just because I'm communicating, it was just kind of like a check the block thing for me. Like, all right, I'm just gonna communicate because I know that's what needs to be done. But then it turned into, okay, this ain't working, and now we back to square one of having arguments or disagreements or whatever, because we just communicating and I'm not really putting in the effort. So then I had to take another step back and realize, like, okay, I need to really communicate. So the healthy communication, like really getting into the weeds and like asking them some of them questions that I wouldn't normally ask in the past, just to grow. So for and since I've been doing that, like everything just continues to get better and better and better. So yeah, definitely, I say healthy communication is really important for a relationship.
And let me cut Harvey off real quick with this one too. Like the brother said, healthy communication, learning their language of communication too.
Yeah,
What really, you know what I mean? Because it's crazy how like the small things can have such a big impact if you're not communicating on the same language in the same
Mhm.
platform in the same way. you know, because like he said, effectively, we got to learn their language, just like they're trying to learn our language. How do I reach her? How do I communicate with her? You know what I mean? I know for a fact, if I want to get Harvey's attention, I'm gonna say, Harvey, this has something to do with fashion. This has something to do with a way to invest to make money or music. And a side bonus, hey, this has something to do with social media. Harvey's listening. Harvey's paying attention. I know that. And it's crazy, but how do I do it with my wife, you know, downstairs of five years or something like that? You know what I mean? So we got to learn that love language of how to communicate. What are they speaking in? What makes a difference to them? I learned that, like you were saying, effective communication. I learned that.
All right.
So I know it's going to sound corny for all of those that have been in the military. If you are in the military and you go through MRT, Master Resiliency Training, pay attention. All it talks about is communication. And one of the things that I had to learn is, like, not only when you have an argument or a disagreement or something up, you're like, what's wrong? That now you're trying to actively communicate. Now you got to passively communicate too. Like, oh, you guys are walking in the hallway, you bump each other. Oh, it's not playful, it's not jokey. Okay, something might be going on, something might be bothering her. Let me go and figure out and see what that is. Like, making sure that everybody's needs is taken care of and communicated consistently and effectively. So my thing is, like, I can sit down and ask you 200 questions and get everything that I need from that. That's how I communicate. That is not how my wife communicates. So when we sit down and have, you know, discussions, in-depth discussions, I'm going, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? She's like, why are you badgering me? Why are you asking the same thing in a different way? And like, okay, you know what? This isn't working. Let me just sit back and listen to you. You speak freely and tell me your views.
Yeah.
And being man enough to realize that and laying your pride to the side to actually do it. Like, realizing it is one thing. Like, dang, we don't communicate that well. Have an argument and it was like, after the argument, well, that could have been better.
Yeah.
Nah, but what are you gonna do to make it better? So
Those are facts.
Gotcha.
Man, so man, it's in our household. That's the most important word in our household. And not only communicating, but effectively communicating, having those tough conversations that you might want to avoid or nobody wants to talk about. Just sitting down, and that even goes down to our kids. We do this thing in our household where we sit down at our kitchen table every week, and everybody have a voice. Well, everybody that can talk have a voice. We all communicate. Like, and the thing is, on the back end of that is not only communicating but learning how to listen. Because a lot of men, a lot of us, we just listen to reply. Like, we don't really understand the art of listening versus the act of listening. The act of listening is sitting back. Oh, you didn't hear what I said, and then regurgitate back what you said to me. That just means your ears work. Of course you heard. Of course I'm talking. The art of listening is sitting down and making sure she feels understood, and having a cause and communication to the conversation or whatever y'all talking about. That's what I had to learn. I can run my mouth all day, but I had to learn the art versus the act of communication.
Definitely.
Hey, I couldn't have put
Said
it
a mouthful,
any better.
bro.
My that was amazing.
Facts. Next.